All right, hello, folks. Welcome to episode 17 of Mike and I pairing on his Song Themes app. How's it going, Mike?
Good. And you?
All right, doing well. Yeah, I was looking at cleaning up the playlist, making sure everything was in there, and it's like, wow, 42 some odd hours. So basically, almost a little more than a full week's of work. Although I don't know anybody who would. Well, I do know a lot of people who would pair for 40 hours in a week, but that would not be a typical work week for me. Even in a full-time role, you're going to have time for. Although I was reading about Nat Bennett, who was a pivot who worked at Pivotal Labs, has been writing this email sequence, just sort of reflecting and retrospecting on time at Pivotal. And one of the recent ones was the work hours were pretty strict. You pretty much were working nine to 6. And I remember that was one of the primary reasons I got an offer, but I didn't join because I'm like, I got to drive my son to school in the morning, and I can't get here by to the San Francisco office by 9:06. And even more so, one of the things that struck me was here we have one of the most productive ways of doing development, pairing, but we're still going to work you 40 hours a week. And like no benefits accrue to the employees for being way more productive than a typical everybody working on their own and not really collaborating kind of thing. And
Wow.
it struck me as really like not in the spirit in my mind of Agile. Like to me, it was just like, we're going to get more out of you and you're not going to get any of the benefit. And I'm like, so that, that was like, yes, you get the hour off for lunch, but you're working 3.5, 4 hours of pairing, in the morning session and then the afternoon session. And that's rough. Like I know people who've burnt out from that. But again, it's for me, it's like we are so much more productive. When do we get the benefits, right? And this is,
Right.
very much the the rebel in me that bristles at basically being exploited.
Right.
And people say like, we're not we're high-end knowledge workers and we get paid well. It's like it doesn't mean we're not still being exploited.
Right.
Because I think if you're pairing consistently and as the dominant way of as the primary way of doing things, you shouldn't have to work 40 hours a week.
Right.
30 would be actually as 30 hours consistently pairing and doing all the XP practices that they did. 30 hours should be fine. And so maybe even like take a day off.
Right.
Like get, okay, maybe that's hard to coordinate, but fine. So let's work 10 to 4. Like allow people who have families to spend more time with their families. And
Yeah.
so it's I don't know. It reminded me of why I was so upset about the fact that I couldn't join a company that worked exactly the way I wanted to work because of this arbitrary limit and exploitation.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the they have those lists of companies that get so much productivity per, what is it? Revenue divided by
Oh, revenue
what
per
their
employee, yeah,
per
or
employee.
or
Right.
or profit per employee, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah.
Right. Right. And it's like almost all of those are software companies.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Not all of them.
yeah, many of
But
them are because what has the absolute most leverage is tech, right? I mean,
right.
yeah, it's that goes to the typical thing that GPO and I and others say. It's like it's despite the fact that most software is terrible, because the leverage is so incredibly big, it doesn't matter. And that's why there's no real pressure to become better, because it's so incredibly profitable that why bother, right?
Well, where
Making
sorry,
100 times we're making 10 to 100 times of what we're paying you. Why should we bother making you more efficient or happier?
I was coming at it more from the angle, good point. But I was coming at it from the angle of, why not throw the developer a bone for doing things like agile
Yeah,
or, pairing or ensembling, because their profit per employee is so high.
exactly. Yeah. Like why, money is, certainly during the height of the pay scales, a few years ago, you could get 5, 6, 700K as a reasonably high-end developer working for a big tech company, especially if you incorporate, those high price stocks. Um, but uh, but flexibility, there's definitely
Value
uh,
in that.
there's value to the employee and absolutely no value, and it's in fact looked down upon, um, by corporate America. And so Jeff says, yeah, like why can't we take a long lunch? Why can't we work 6-hour days? Why not? We're not only are you getting more than I mean, I don't know. To me, this was the whole point of becoming more efficient and more effective.
Was
But
to get more
again,
free time.
was yeah, like, but that stuff. I mean, and let alone 40 hours. Like most people, some of these companies, many of them were working 45, 50, 60 hours. And I just think that's exploitative.
Yeah.
But anyway, good evening, Astrid.
Good evening.
Hello, Tukes. Welcome. All right, with that rant out of the way, um, should we get back into song themes?
Sure. Let me make my screen presentable. Okay,
All
I'm
right,
ready now.
all right. Did you want to zoom in again?
Yes, right, because we were pulled out for ensembling. Was it 125 or 150 that y'all liked?
I'm fine with 125.
Okay.
But if anyone needs the font size bumped up, let us know.
Yeah, as you can see, it's really easy. So
Yeah, human resource people. Yeah. So last time we left off, we had some difficulties because we added security and got all that working, except one of the things that we didn't properly set up are the requests being authorized for things like errors and forwards. And that's where we were like, why isn't this working? It should be working. And realized we were actually getting an error because our input was wrong. But we weren't seeing that because the error pages didn't have the right permissions. So I did some research after. I was like, oh, there's this really cool, nice way to do it, which I don't know. This is one of those, what are good defaults? So not having
oh,
permission,
I know
right?
where you're
Not
going with
having
this.
default permissions for error pages. Okay, maybe. But not having default permissions open to everyone for forwards, which is part of the cycle that Spring MVC will do, seems not like a great default. So let's go add that in. So you got that line, the dispatcher type matches. So what's nice about this is I used to, in fact, I got to now go back to some of my code and add this in. Unlike specifying an actual path, so let's go to our our security config. So unlike specifying an actual path like we're doing here in the request matchers, what we can do is we can actually, because we could add a request match for slash error like we did, and then actually it's slash error slash star star or something, and then for something else. But it's a lot easier to just say we'd like these types to just fall through. So you want to put that above the request matchers.
Okay.
Not that that's required, it's just generally you do that first. And yeah, you can go ahead and import those.
The second
I
one?
assume the second one, yes.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Unless it was the first ones. So this is my pet peeve with the Spring documentation, is especially for things like this. And this is even worse in some of the other static imports. It's like, could you tell me which package this is? Because it might be another package. I assume it's that, but maybe it's not.
It was only showing us 2. Actually, what did I just delete? Did I delete Spring Framework? Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the other one is Tomcat.
The other one is, I thought the other one was Jakarta.
Oh. Oh, right, Jakarta.
I mean, it's coming from the Tomcat thing, which is why I'm leaning towards it not being, unless the authorized. Let's go look at the docs for dispatcher type matchers.
Do you want to share a screen on your end?
Let me look for it first, and then I'll. Come on. That's exactly what the docs say. Interestingly, the docs that I'm looking at don't even have the dispatcher type in it. Let's see. So that's that. That's, yeah. Let's see. And so what's funny is there are sort of two different competing documentations. Like there's the documentation for that's under Spring Security, and then there's stuff that's under Spring Framework and other stuff. But let's take a look at dispatcher type. Yeah, that's an enum. That includes forward. So let's import that again, because yeah, that's web servlet dispatcher type. And then let's look at the error. Maybe we're misreading the error.
So it's the
Yeah.
first one, Spring Framework. Okay.
Yeah. So it can't it can't understand that, which is weird because that's exactly what is documented. Dispatcher type matchers, right? That's what we're saying. So one thing I recommend that you do is if you go open up the Maven, where's your Maven? It's so weird. I don't know why stuff seems to disappear for you.
I know, it's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Just use the actions to find it.
Yeah, Maven. And it is the one that it's on. Yeah. Is there a pin? No.
They should automatically stay until like you do something to make them explicitly go away.
And what am I looking for in Maven?
If you click on the thing that has that little down arrow, the third icon over from the left, and you say downloaded sources and documentation, the last one, that way it won't try to decompile the code. You'll actually get the actual source, which is going to be much more useful than the decompiled source.
Right.
Astrid found the celebrate. We don't have anything to celebrate yet. I'm going to reject your celebration, Astrid. Can't celebrate anything until we've actually figured this out. Then we'll celebrate. Oh, you're celebrating the celebrate redeem? Well, you'll have to try it again. So let's see. So why might that? So we're doing authorize HTTP requests. We got an authorize, and we say authorize dot dispatcher type matchers. I don't understand why it's not accessing the second one, which is basically dispatcher type dot dot dot. I wonder if IntelliJ is confused. Like hit build and compile. You can just say rebuild build project. Yeah. Because IntelliJ basically is implementing its own compiler. So what's it saying? So no suitable method found for dispatcher type matchers. Why is it not applicable? We literally are passing in multiple dispatcher types. Dispatcher type cannot be converted to HTTP method.
Var args mismatch?
Oh, interesting. So it actually looks like the first method that it's trying to match against that it takes some. So actually, it is the Jakarta servlet dispatcher type. That's what it says, which is really weird. Because we
But up
tried
here
that.
it's saying the framework.
Well, it's saying it can't find that, right? So it can't find dispatcher type matches that take web servlet dispatcher type. It did find dispatcher type varargs, the second one down there, with the second method one. That's no, the next one. That one.
Oh, this one.
So that one is Jakarta servlet. Okay. Didn't we try that and that didn't work either?
I thought we did.
So let's try that. So delete the import for the. I
Yeah.
can't believe this is taking so long. This is terrible. I don't understand why.
Alt enter. There we go. Jakarta.
Yeah. Okay, so that does work. Maybe we didn't try it.
I thought we did.
But that's that's really annoying. And this has happened several times in different places in Spring, where sometimes it's building on the standards, the Jakarta standards, what used to be called J2EE and then was whatever, or J2E. But in the docs, it really needs to call this out. Because if there's multiple choices, and especially if there's one that's I think is quite reasonable, which is the web servlet stuff, I don't understand what those are for. Maybe they're used for something else. All right. Anyway, so now we've got we're specifying that we're okay with any forward or any error like thing being permitted for all. So I think that's all we wanted to add. That took way longer than it should have.
So rerun the server and test?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
You can also pull out the slash error in line 19 for the because we're now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. That's
now
covered
that's
by.
that's redundant. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you can celebrate, Astrid.
Oh, my cursor's in the wrong spot. Alt Shift
Right.
F10.
Woohoo! We got it. Woohoo! And I need to document.
I got the weirdest problem with Chrome is whenever I open a new one, it leaves my bookmark toolbar visible, even though it's set to not show the toolbar.
Of course.
And when I change it, it only changes it on the StreamYard window, but not all the others.
Software
Yeah,
quality. Yeah.
I guess there's nothing particularly problematic with that. So localhost, and we'll do song import,
Let's just go to
just
root.
straight.
Yeah, let's just try things out. Okay. Let's go
Was
yeah,
there one?
now let's go to the import.
We could do a quick theme search.
Sure. Okay. So that's our defaults. All right. Yep. Now you got to log into Kind.
It's the one thing I have to add to my prep checklist. No, I did. Wanted to make sure I was logged out of my vault on the other computer. It doesn't handle, well, it does. It just makes it read only. Kind.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting is if you create the user like we did, there doesn't seem to be a way to specify how they log in and how they authenticate. Because I don't like the email me a code thing.
Right. What's interesting is my password's not working. One more time. Invalid. I typed my email address wrong. Nope, that's legit. It's not trying to use my kind password. Doesn't make sense. That one does work. Interesting. So it's using my password for my kind account because I have a separate one for just as a user. Let me look at the timestamps on those. Okay, I see what's wrong. This one's old.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna edit that and get rid of it. Okay, cool. I'm back
All right.
to you.
So let's paste in what we tried to paste in last time, where we actually got the error.
Errors. Well, I know what I did wrong, but let me close off the columns. I deliberately opened them because I was taking a look at something. And there's also these two. And I forget, were we including contributor or not? I think not.
No, but what I want is I want for you to paste something in that causes the error that we saw.
Well, the error we had was actually a user error on my part.
Right, and that's how I want you to create that.
Okay, so that's the question I have. So let me go back
Yeah.
to the code. How many columns are we looking for?
So we're looking for 9, and I think you were pasting in 8.
Yeah, so okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I was left out contributor.
Yeah, so leave out contributor.
Oh, right. You want to make sure the error part works. Okay, and import.
Right. So we are now seeing 7 columns, but must have at least 9. So now we're at least seeing the error page. And what's interesting about this error page is that it's showing up because we threw an exception, but it doesn't, because we did this on a post and the exception was thrown during the post. It looks like the URL hasn't changed because the error page that gets generated was returned as a response to the post, and that was what was confusing. That was what was confusing me last time. because generally what I see is there'll be some kind of if there's an error, then it will actually you'll see you're on the error URL, and technically this is
Mm,
returning the endpoint sort of information from the default error that Spring creates, but we're not seeing the URL change because it was done in reply to a post.
oh,
So let's paste the right amount, but then I think we need to better handle the
yeah.
error. Yeah. Hey there, 5G technician. Do you use authorization annotations of put that in the security config? I'm not sure what you're saying. Of put that? Are you saying are we using authorization annotations on the post mapping, or are you saying something else? So perhaps rephrase your question so I can understand it better.
Okay.
All right.
9 columns of data.
All right.
Interesting.
So you had a blank.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So it thinks you had a blank song title, right? So
Oh,
that's
I
what.
see what I did. No, see what I did wrong here.
Yeah.
It was so wide that I
Uh-huh.
didn't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So by Spring
Huh.
DSL, if you mean the configuration authorized requests, you may have missed it, but we were just working with that, and we'll show that again in a bit.
So it went through and went back to the home page.
Right, which is what we programmed it to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suspect though that if we try to do a song search for any of those, I'm not convinced that it will work. So let's look for something that was actually in a theme that you imported.
Yep. Protest.
Yeah.
As you were.
Yeah, as I suspected.
I'm going to try one more. No. Okay.
Yep. So we've got two issues. Which do we want to handle first? We've got the terrible validation for bad user input, and we've got what's a deeper issue, which is when we add songs, we're not able to find them at from the UI.
I think I would go with deeper first because I already did write down over here in Jira, handle incorrect number of columns
Okay. All right.
since we last spoke.
Okay. All right. So let's let's check out our tests. So what are our what tests are we missing?
Oh, this should be up here. So it'd be theme searcher test is missing something.
Well, it wouldn't be a test from the level of the adapter, right? So this would be
Right.
because the
Domain.
adapter is just passing it along, but it's passing it along to the application layer. So this is an application layer test that we might be missing because we've got so it'd be a song service test.
It's in here. Sorry. Multiple songs added are found by theme.
Yeah, so this is if we look at the application startup class, how does it basically
Oh,
create the service?
application startup.
So again, I recommend not looking at the project
Oh,
info.
yeah, right.
Just look for startup. Yep.
So we're stuffing two
Yeah,
generic ones.
so we're basically creating a new song searcher from scratch without involving anything else. And this is basically more of a configuration problem than anything wrong in our code. And typically, when I find problems of this kind, it's usually uh, because of this. Now, we could write a Spring Boot test um, that would be kind of an end-to-end like test to make sure that our configuration is set up properly. Or but it's a little awkward. Um,
Awk-
or we could just fix it. Oops.
um, it's awkward. Um, in what way is it awkward? I guess is my question.
Uh,
Like, is it so awkward that it's not worth the effort and just fix it, or
we can
will
go
there be
for it.
some value?
We can go for it and see what happens.
Okay.
So let's go into so you probably have a startup test. In fact, not probably. I know you have a startup test. So let's jump to that.
Yeah.
And so let's write a new test. Um, and we can call this end to end imported songs are found. Can you reformat that file? By default, for whatever reason, I think the Spring Starter defaults to
Yeah.
two space indents.
I've noticed that there's some files that are like, yeah. So reformat with the letter L. That's pretty much all I remember. Let's see. There it is. Control Alt L.
All right.
And this one is like looks empty, but test connections or wiring.
Yep.
Would that be a right way of saying that?
I'd either use the term auto wiring or application context setup, but auto wiring is probably easier. Yep.
Okay.
All
Because I
right.
could just totally see someone like, oh, that's empty. Let's just delete it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's speaking of auto wiring, let's create a couple of fields and we'll auto wire them. So we'll create one field which is the song service. So if you say at auto wired, and I usually put the definition on a new line. Yep. And declare the variable. Yep. And then we'll want another auto wired for the song searcher. Yeah, it's the downside of all these things having the same letters.
Yep.
I think that's good enough. So what we want to do is basically do what we do without the UI involved. So import a song through via the song service and then assert that it was found in the song searcher.
It's just
Yeah, it's just
TSV. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, do we have a TSV we can steal from?
I am pretty sure we do. So it's
Interesting.
not finding anything because you got capitalization and
Oh,
words
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. Oh, interesting. So that actually, I was using PHP Storm the other day. It looks like IntelliJ moves it between the two.
Oh,
In other words,
interesting.
the setting,
The setting is sticks
yeah, sticks
across.
across. It looks like. I'm gonna check that out later, but that
Yeah, I'm dubious that it does that, but,
because I don't recall us in this
well,
project.
I don't know that we found files very much, but anyway, yeah.
That's true. Mhm. There we go. That was that.
Yeah. So we're in our book club, we were talking about using flashcards for learning, and, shortcuts are interesting because, uh and yeah, I think, Astrid, you need a flashcard that tells you that flashcard is the word you want for this. Um, shortcuts are interesting because initially you have to know them sort of explicitly in the sense of, okay, this is alt, control L for this thing. Um, but eventually you want your fingers to form the habit without consciously thinking about what keys you're pressing, which is why when everybody says, "What keystroke was that?" I have to look down at the keyboard and see what I'm pressing because I no
Right.
longer because now it's people use the
Muscle
term
memory.
muscle memory, yeah. Which of course the muscle itself doesn't have memory, but there's aspects of, but it is a different kind of memory that's being used, and but I guess flashcards would be useful if you want to start that process of what's format. Okay, it's Control Alt L, and so if you know that right away, then you can translate that to your fingers, and then you can stop using the flashcards. The other thing is you could have the flashcard just say, okay, press the right keystrokes, which is what sort of typing tutor like things do, is they'll then that's more realistic. And I wonder if there's an explicit typing tutor like thing that will allow you to say, okay, press the right keystrokes for auto format, press the right keystrokes for extract variable,
Mm.
and see if you've pressed the right thing. If not, I might develop one because of course I need more projects to work on.
So now I'm looking at this test. Oh, sorry, we gotta.
Yes, well, of course. Well, you're seeing tests and code, but you're always seeing tests. Yes, absolutely. Welcome. So yeah, so let's
So I grabbed that from the
yep,
other test.
great.
Now what's interesting though, now my brain is like, wait a second, I thought we were looking for 9 columns. This has got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7,
7,
8,
8.
9, 10.
Yeah, because remember we ignore everything after the 3 months.
After, right. So it looks like
But we still are expecting it, which maybe we wanna be more flexible about that.
actually I think we're gonna have an issue because I was importing with notes missing. Well, this is the other problem we got to fix.
Well, yeah, I
So
mean,
that's gonna
we've talked about sort of more flexible understanding based on the column headers,
right,
and
right.
that might be something we do sooner rather than later.
I think very quickly if that we will probably see a bug because if we're pulling in 10 columns, it's going to be off by one. So
Mhm,
if we have something with only one theme
mhm.
and there's nothing in it, it won't find it. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
okay. And that's
Yep.
extra new problem. Okay, but let's make this one correct. Actually, I don't know. We'll just leave it for now. Okay, this is really set up.
Yeah.
And then we're importing the songs, and the goal is to make them visible or
Yeah,
see if they're
technically, actually, there is no setup. That actually is what we're executing, and then we're gonna assert. So, the setup is
right.
done by Spring Boot. So I'd put a blank line at up top, even though that might look weird. We could put a comment saying Spring Boot does the setup, which is so foreign to, at least to me, to have, like, no setup, but is fairly typical for a lot of tests that I see in the wild because they put all their stuff in a setup method, or even worse, in a base class.
So we want to say song service. There we go. Oh no, song
Song, the song
is
searcher.
searcher, but is searcher exposed or do we go to searcher through the service?
We're going directly to the searcher,
Okay.
I think. Well, let's go look and see what does the front end do. Let's go to
Okay.
the
Like I forgot the name of it. Oh, that's no results. Import. No,
well,
it's
we want the controller class, and this is the
uh,
downside of not calling it necessarily controller. But we know it's gonna be in the inbound adapter, so at least we know where to look. So it is a song theme searcher, yeah. And so what does that do? Yeah, that has access to the song searcher.
okay.
Yeah.
So song searcher dot question by theme. Wait a second. Song titles by theme. Are there two methods there?
It looks like there are.
Oh,
That
interesting.
one's in the wrong place. And I think we knew about that going in, that was gonna have to move, uh, to somewhere else. Um,
Which that song titles by theme or by
yes,
theme?
because you know, and this is one of those, well, it depends. This might be reasonable, but I see whenever I see string as a return value from a domain object, I always get concerned that maybe that really should be presentation.
Right. Which would then be in the adapter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So
But for
song.
now,
So if we were doing it a little cleaner, we would have what the servers have something called song titles by theme that returns the string or the adapter,
well,
and then
it wouldn't be the service that does that, uh,
services.
right? Because the service is still inside the hexagon, so it still
Oh,
doesn't
right.
know, right? So anything about converting domain objects to the outside world is
The
adapter.
adapter, which is
Right. So we would use by theme and then convert and transform whatever we want. Um,
so for
while we're here, or while we're thinking about it, can we jump over to let's make
oh,
an entry in Jira, that we want to move song themes by title into the adapter. I mean, we had just done that temporarily just to get something going in the UI, but we'll also need to explore how we want the UI to look.
right.
But for now, we can just do uh, what we want to do is by theme.
And what's the argument for that one?
Should just be a string.
Oh, requested theme. Right.
Yeah. We haven't.
Um,
There might be a little bit of primitive obsession there, but we haven't gotten
yeah,
there.
yeah. So I guess our theme is thank you.
That's what it looks like.
Okay. Actually, this might show up the problem that I was just raising.
I'm hoping it does.
Yeah, I think it will.
I'm hoping it reproduces the problem. Yeah.
Okay, so the by theme returns a list of strings, so it should be
Well, this returns a list of songs, but right now let's just say that it has one
has one.
or has size of one. Yeah. And let's run just this. I don't know if you have a specific one for this, but let's just run this test directly.
Just this test directly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So this tells us that our configuration is misconfigured.
That the fact that it failed?
Yes, because that should work.
I
If
don't think
every
so.
Why don't you think so?
Because there's only one theme and we have an off by one error. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd have to look at what we're
I thought you copied this from a test
I did.
that worked.
Oh, right. That's true. I did copy it from test.
Yeah, because we want this to be valid, correct data, because what we're testing is if we import, do we find it? And it's broken because we've misconfigured the application.
I see. Got it. Right. If this was what I had copied and pasted into the edit box,
That would be a
that would
different
have
story.
failed.
That
Yeah,
would have
that was
failed. That would
for
have, well, depending on
failed.
which one you pasted, yeah.
Yeah,
But this is what we want. We want to actually recreate the bug,
right.
which shows us that in our song theme startup configuration, we've messed up. So let's go
Yeah,
fix that.
this bug.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so what did we do configuration wise?
So let's go to our song theme startup. And what we want is our song searcher
Oh,
needs to be created properly.
right. Because right now it's just hard coding it.
Yeah. Hey there, Joey Spees. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's basically delete that code because it's all irrelevant, or at least it's irrelevant now.
It'll be interesting to see what test that breaks, if any.
I expect it to
Something
not break
not.
anything.
Yeah.
So let's just instantiate a song searcher. It's probably a create method, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
Is this the right way for us to create the song searcher? Yeah, let's jump over to it.
We've got this is private, and then this
Right,
is the
right,
factory.
right.
We've got two factories. One takes a stream. Oh nope, there's more than two.
Yeah, there's a couple, I think, is that one for tests. So this was a design problem that that at some point I figured we'd address. Is that who holds the data? Because right now, Song Searcher is acting as an in-memory repository that is searchable in a very specific way. And that we load songs when the system starts up from the repository, but then the repository is ignored.
Is this stuff being put in? Well, if you say repository, it really means it's just going into this map.
Well,
Because it's
this
not a
isn't the
repository yet.
this is not the repository I'm talking about. We've got
Oh,
a
this
song
one over here.
repository. Yes.
Ah,
So the way the system is currently set up is Song Searcher is an in-memory uh, cache, searchable cache of our songs.
right. But there's no connection between this song searcher and the song repository.
Not directly. So let's go look at the song service. Right. So when we create it, the first thing it does is create the song searcher. So this is kind of bad because, from one point of view, it's kind of bad. From another point of view, it's exactly what we want. So song searcher is not something that actually should be publicly accessible, and it shouldn't be injected into anything. And so um, the question is uh,
Is song
we-
searcher being injected into something?
yeah, it's being injected into our searcher controller, so it can actually do the search. But really,
Oh,
that's incorrect, right? Because song searcher, what package is it in? Let's scroll up. right? It's in domain. And it really shouldn't be direct. So domain object, in fact, if we're not running arc unit tests, we probably want to.
Yeah,
Domain
yeah,
objects should never be injected into anything.
right.
That's the rule. They can be accessed, they can be found, they can be instantiated, but they should never be injected.
We should pull
Um,
this up.
yeah. And so the reason why is adapters shouldn't hold on to them because their content can change and they're really not they're supposed to be more temporary. This one is again this weird thing. Um, and
You think it would be
what-
valuable to throw up the hexagon diagram to look at it in that context?
no, I think there's a deeper issue here, and we need
Hmm.
to make a decision on what do we want to do. But I think right now we have to fix it. So we need to stop exposing this as a bean.
So just immediately take off the beam for
Well, so if we do that, then we can see what breaks. So let's
just
just
this beam, right?
yeah,
Okay.
just delete the whole thing. Typing is cheap. Um, I expect. I think it should still compile. I expect though when we run the application that it will fail because it can't find. Yeah, it can't
So I
find the
ran the
song.
application test only, not
Yeah,
the
yeah. Any Spring Boot test would basically try to bring up the application using the configuration, the full
right.
configuration, and it can't find it because the songs theme searcher controller needed the searcher. So
So
let's
this is
go
the
fix that.
awkwardness you were alluding to earlier.
No, I was alluding to a different awkwardness.
Different awkward. Okay.
But the problem we saw before of getting a list of songs by their title as a string. This is sort of a symptom of all the same thing.
Got it.
So let's go to our song theme searcher. And I think you're going to want to start learning the Control N and not Control Shift N.
Oh,
Because otherwise it tends to find all files and they probably aren't the ones
right.
you generally want.
You said song theme searcher?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
one of the
that's one
advantage,
annoying thing about the shortcuts is all the rest of them are control shift. Like, so all the other ones up here. So here, this is control N. This is control shift N. All control. In other words, they're all
no, so the pattern is the one you probably want is just Control N. If you want also files, then it's Control Shift N. If you want
like
also
adding.
symbols, then it's Control Alt Shift N, right? So it's the way they thought about it was adding on more meta
Mm,
keys to expand your search. But generally, that mostly what you want is Control N. The other thing is from this dialog, if you type uppercase instead of lowercase, you have the advantage of you can type STS and then a lowercase e, and it'll narrow down much more quickly to
mm.
searcher.
Yeah, I think for me, the two I use the most is action and unfortunately files. So
Yeah,
that's why I think I had the little mental disconnect
yeah, yeah.
between the two. Okay, so we're at
So
song theme
let's
searcher.
can we open up also the song service?
You want it at the bottom, maybe? Say
Um
also or split right?
yeah, maybe split it right.
Actually,
Okay, so if you drag it to the center of the screen,
huh?
drag that tab to the center of the screen. That's not the center of the screen. Center
Oh, this
vertically.
center.
And now go to the right. Now
Ah,
drag it. Right. So you can see the background blue changing as you move it
changing
around.
right. Yeah, as far as the sweet.
So what methods do we have? What actual methods do we have? We've got search by theme, and that gives us a list of songs. Great, because that's what we should be talking to.
Right.
So so let's fix our song searcher Not this one, the controller, the song theme searcher.
Oh, guess we lost that one.
Command E is your friend in this case,
Yeah.
or Control E. So we should be injecting is the song service, not the song searcher. So let's change the top of the file. Let's scroll up a bit more just so we can see yeah. So we basically want to delete the field, and then we can change the constructor.
Right. Then it'll.
In fact, I might just delete the whole constructor and start all over because it has nothing that we want. So let's create a final field. I think it's easier if we create the final field and then create the constructor to do that.
Okay.
And we want a song service. Yep. Declare the variable. And then Alt-Enter on it. Now on the red.
Got it.
So quick fix. Add
Oh,
constructor
sweet.
parameter.
Nice.
Right. And so it generates the constructor and assigns the variable all at once.
Got it.
And so now what we want is we want to fix the compile error on line 25. So on song service and whatever it does, whatever method that is, which is search by theme. And then we'll need to stream it and map it so that we get out a list of songs.
Oh, right, because the left-hand side is a list of strings.
Yeah.
Do it all in one line?
No.
Okay.
Do it on a new line.
It's okay. I was I didn't mean line. I meant statement.
Oh, okay. Yes, we definitely. I mean, we could split it out, but there's no point to that. So we'll do a stream and then map. And we'll just do song : title, because that's what we're originally getting, song title.
Song title.
And then to list. And actually, we could, if we wanted, inline found songs there on 29, so it's all one big map.
Oh, good Lord.
That actually would reduce a little bit of the redundancy. So let's actually do that.
Okay, so
just
inline here.
Yeah. Oh wait, there are two references? Why are there two references?
It's referring to the first one on 25. That's weird.
If you select the all two references in the pop-up. Oh, there's something that that's out of sight. So let's escape out of this and scroll down a bit. Okay. So it's using found songs to see if it found any or not, which is.
We could switch it to using.
Yeah, let's switch it to using song views because that's more technically correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now we can inline found songs. Yep. And now we can delete 28 and 29. It's unfortunate that it didn't realize that.
Oh, interesting.
It could do that. Yeah. All right. So basically, we find the songs by their theme, but we're getting a list of songs from that. Then we stream it. Then we map from song to string, and then we map from string to song view. And so that's a nice clean stream pipe there.
And song view new?
Yeah, that's the constructor.
Okay.
Because it's a record that. I mean, we could make a static method, but it's the only parameter to the record.
Right. Should we run?
Yes, the stream API is nice.
Yeah.
Let's run all of our tests. assuming we've configured things properly and haven't forgotten something in terms of compiling. So what's the problem here? Oh, right, because we changed the constructor type. So this should take this should take a song service, not
Like that, or no,
no,
or
no.
take a song
We
service.
we need to create a song service to pass in.
Do we want to create null
Yeah,
or
in this case, because we're in a test, we can do a create null, and then get rid of the rest of the statement. So this is going to break because we said create null, but clearly we're passing in songs that we want to add. So we'll have to figure that out. Hey, Sweetie, welcome.
hello, hello?
So I expect this to fail for the song's theme searcher tests. Yeah. So those fail because we still have some issues with auto wiring that we'll have to clean up. But the song, let's attack the song theme searcher test because that's a more an actual problem that we had. So let's close the bottom. So what we want is when we create the song themes controller, our expectation is that we're going to add songs instead of um, uh, basically instead of ignoring them, which is now what we're doing.
So you're saying this, go to this?
Yeah. So right now we need to fix this because this is not right.
Oh, it's part of the test.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So I think song service might have some other convenience methods for us. So instead of create null, maybe it has something else
Yeah.
or not.
Should we create a convenience?
No, I think we can just create the song service and then add songs.
So extract this into a local.
Right.
No. For this test, let's see who's using this.
Well, it's used in a couple of places, otherwise we wouldn't have extracted it.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
I was just trying to understand what. Okay, so but this is a generic one. Creating
Generic.
null is, sorry, wrong term. It's creating an empty song service.
Correct.
Um, we want to create the controller. Do we want to just add,
And
what
now we
song
want to
would we
just
be
add
adding?
the ones from the parameter.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't add multiple songs because that's an array. So we
Oh,
need to iterate through it.
got it.
And you could use a for loop, or you could use an arrays stream, but let's start with a for loop. So what I would do is say songs.for.
That's what I was heading towards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a
That
straight
one.
up one.
Just a
Yeah.
straight up one. And then just call add song. And you can ask it to what would the stream version look like if you click on
Get.
the for.
That's where that comes in.
So you could replace it with a for each, and that's what it looks like there on the right.
Yeah.
It's basically arrays.stream.
So now run the test again.
Now let's run the test again. Yeah. So Sweegie, the history of song views is we only ever had strings, but we're basically getting rid of that. So that's why we haven't created a factory method for it. But agreed that we will want song view to actually take song and not just the title. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So
now it's bean problem.
Right. So let's go find out who's still wanting that. So let's scroll down in the error message. So whoops, stop. So what we're looking for is whenever I'm scanning these kinds of stack traces, I'm sort of hopping to my beacons, to use the term from the programmer's brain, is the caused by, because we're looking for one of these caused bys is going to have the right information in the right amount of text that doesn't overwhelm me. And so here it's saying this is just saying that song searcher is not available. So did we just miss it in the top exception? So let's scroll back up to the original throws. So generally you can skip past all this @ stuff because we don't care about that. We care about the exception message, and that's so we want to jump from beacon to beacon and skip all the intermediary stuff. Oh, are we doing some auto wiring in our song theme startup tests? We might be. Yes, that's why. It's our actual test that's wrong. So let's get rid of 19 and 20. Because we don't auto wire that anymore.
Oh, this is an older test.
No, this is the test that we've been writing, but we don't need to. We still need the song service. We don't want song searcher anymore because that's not something that should be auto wired.
And this
and
stays
we use that stays auto wired. Now we're using it, so we need to fix our test because we shouldn't be using it. Well, instead, we should be talking to the song service. No, just the variable, the field.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah.
And we want the right method. All right. Now let's run it again.
I think it should work this time.
Well, we'll certainly not get the dependency stuff. And it should now work. Excellent. Let's commit.
Took care of both. Probably because this one was looking for.
So any test in this test class, because the test itself is annotated with Spring Boot test, will always do the full configuration that the application would do. It is slow.
That's why we had 2 errors. That's why we had 2 errors.
That's right, because both were trying to do the same thing, create an application context and wire things up. So yes, woohoo!
Yeah. Awesome.
So that makes me feel much better that we've now we're not accessing the domain from our we're not injecting our domain into our adapter.
I think we're overdue for committing. What do you think?
Well, I did say commit, but you might have missed it. So I said,
oh no, I didn't hear it. Okay.
Okay.
We did fine tune this.
Yeah. So what I would probably do is we probably should have done a commit after that one is uncheck all of them and then just check that one because that one's independent, and then just say added forwards and redirects to permit all. Sorry, not forwards and redirects, forwards and errors. And then do a commit. What did we change in the song import HTML?
That was actually last week. We didn't do a commit at the end of.
Oh, right, because stuff was still broken. So,
Just added.
yeah, we'll just add that to the current commit.
Okay.
Um, so what we wanna do is check all the changes. Uh, yep, and imports them, and we fixed configuration, sort of fixed architectural configuration, so song searcher, well, it's so song searcher is no longer injected into the adapter. Yeah, we added a Jira for that, Sweetie, yeah, because like, oh, we shouldn't do that.
We actually have had that JIRA for like weeks and weeks, but it got pushed down,
Yeah,
as that often happens.
yeah.
Is this good enough, or is there anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, cool.
So stupendous follow 65 said, shouldn't it be song service impl? I'm not sure if you were joking or if you're trolling or if that was a genuine question. So you'll have to let us know.
If it's genuine, we'll definitely answer it. So don't
Yes,
feel.
yeah,
Uh,
if this is a genuine question, let me know. If it's just haha, then we'll laugh along with you. All right. So now we can go yeah, we can certainly check off Jira 57 there. So close Jira 57. Um uh
would now be the
we
time to do
actually
this?
did we actually did 66, right? In order to fix it, we actually had to do that.
Oh, right.
Um I think it's time to take a break.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, it is.
So when we come back from the break, I think we can now focus on improving error messages. I think the arc unit checking, maybe we could do that too. But definitely want to get some better validation than a big old white label error page.
Yeah. And then are there any questions we can answer after the break? Or did we find out?
So Astrid, have a good night. I know it's late for you.
Oh, yeah. Good night.
Um, and we'll definitely address this because I think this is, you're right. It's very common to see impl at the end of stuff. So we'll definitely talk about that after the break.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take a 5-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll answer that question and continue from where we left off.
Great.
Let me set the timer. See you in 5. All right. So, reminder for folks that tomorrow I'll be on Mark's Angel Lunch and Learn. It's lunch for in my host's time zone, 12 p.m. I guess it's Central Time, but it'll be 10 a.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. UTC. And if you go to this link, bit.ly/tdd-game-lunch, I'll basically be talking about my TDD game, its history, where it came from, why I think it's important, at least the process that I use and that we use here on the stream for doing predictive test-driven development. And then I'll run through the game, sort of show the different cards and different things, and how you can use it in your team or organization to talk about TDD, even if you're not doing it, to talk about maybe what are the benefits or what are the things you run into when you're not doing test-driven development. So join me tomorrow for that. And now back to our code.
I was muted, of course. The bit.ly you were just showing, does that selectable from Twitch and YouTube?
No, I'm gonna go paste it.
Paste it? Okay.
Put the link into the comments. That way it's easier to copy and paste.
Yeah.
So just a reminder, that is not a link to join some live stream. You have to register first. So don't wait until 2 minutes before the time starts to go and register. You will not be happy. It will be recorded, but if you want to join live and I'll be taking questions and having discussions, make sure to register sooner rather than later. All right, so there was before our break, we did have the question about shouldn't there be a song service impl? I don't know if you want me to answer that, or do you want to
I can start.
Yeah.
It's sort of like if you're familiar with Hungarian notation, it's kind of like sort of a somewhat Hungarian notation kind of approach where it's saying, oh, there's definitely an interface called song service, maybe even horrifically called song service.
Well,
and
C#, they got to do that, but whatever.
Yeah, C#. Yeah, C++ though did that as well.
Hmm.
I remember doing that in C++, having song service impl, and you'd have impl for everything. One of the downsides of that is, what if you want to? Well, I always think of it as, I don't like to call my interfaces a name with the word interface anymore, because it lets me refactor easily to it going from being an interface to a concrete class or vice versa, without having to change names all over creation and then have the code base have tons of files being changed.
Right.
So that's the one that jumps to my mind. Probably have more.
And the way I look at it is if you can't come up with a specific name for your concrete implementation, why have you defined an interface at all? So typically my rule is the, you got to have at least 2 concrete implementations. One of those might be in tests before you create an interface. Now that's a general rule. There are times when I'll just create an interface because I think it's useful to capture an essence or capture an aspect of an implementation. So I might have a very large class. Well, large for me would be like 10 methods. I might have a class that's doing a couple of different things, but only want to expose some of that behavior to a certain client. And I actually just did this in my ensembler when I'm working on the ensemble timer. There's a place where I only need to handle ticks that are coming in from the outside. And so I expose that as a very small interface. Actually, it's the other way around, starting and stopping a timer. So either stop and start. It does other things, and that's accessible to other places, but the interface is showing just a slice of what it's capable of. Um, and,
Yeah, and you
and
couldn't
so
do that if you had, interface name and then impl for the exact same
yeah, and
name,
so
because now you're constrained to being one-to-one mapping
yeah,
versus a concrete class could have multiple interfaces.
exactly, exactly. And so to me, song service impl means somebody is not aware of what they're doing. And that's fine for, when you're just starting out, what do we do? We copy examples. The problem is that's a bad example. And what we want is, even if you're going to have one interface and one concrete implementation, let's say that you've determined that that's okay. There should be a name and sort of a reason for that concrete implementation to exist. It's concrete in some way. So, for example, I might have, you know, timer as my interface, and it has stop and start, and then I might have my spring scheduled timer as my concrete implementation. What's special about it? What's concrete about it? It's using Spring's at scheduled annotation. Then I might decide, actually, that's not great. That's overkill for what I need. Let me go just create my own thing that happens to use an executor service. And so then I'd have an executor service timer. And so the idea is that the timer captures the essence of what this thing needs to do. And then the concrete implementation captures in what way was it implemented. Yeah. So Suiji's example of clock and system clock are right. There's a system clock. There's um, what is it? A manual clock where you manually advance time if that's something that's useful. Um, so I often like if you can't think of a good name other than like just tacking on impl, rethink of what you're trying to do. Maybe the interface name is not a good name. But finally, like, why if you're only going to have one concrete implementation, do you need the interface? What is the purpose of that interface? And that's to me the main problem that I see is all of these, you know, especially Spring Boot examples, but lots of other examples is why have an interface? Create a concrete class and use that. If you're only going to have one interface and one concrete implementation, what's the point of the interface? Again, there may be a need for it. You wanted to really provide a narrow view. Um, but if it's going to have the same methods in both, then there's really like, what's the point? And if later on you need, oh, actually now I need, I do need my system clock and my manual clock for testing purposes. Well, then you can extract an interface. And that's really easy to do.
And it's automated.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
easy, it's automated.
yeah. As Sweetie just says, it's one operation, one automated refactoring. So it's important once you sort of get beyond novice stage and you start thinking about how you name these things and what roles do they play. That's when you want to really pay attention to naming of classes. Am I just tacking on controller because everybody else does? Am I just tacking on impl because everybody else does? Am I just tacking on service because everybody else does without really thinking about what is this actually doing? And we always know that names are hard and names are important. But you really want to understand why are these things named that way, and it goes to packaging as well. Why is there a package for exceptions? That makes no sense to me, yet I see it in project after project. I see projects that have packages for DTOs, and that makes no sense to me either. Packaging is a way of putting things together that are cohesive from a use point, not from what role they play. Right. We are not organizing our kitchen drawer where all the forks go here and all the knives go here and all the spoons go here. In fact, that's a terrible layout if you're constantly always laying out fork, knife, spoon, fork, knife, spoon, fork, knife, spoon. It'd be much better to bundle it up as fork, knife, spoon. So you just grab one and now you're done instead of having to go here, here, and here, and here. So um, when you're learning, we copy. But once you start to get a little comfortable, really explore why things are that way. Question, why am I organizing things that way? Why am I naming things that way? So hopefully that helps. It's always a good question. Yeah, absolutely. A pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
All right. So
We were going to do the non-arc unit task, which was, oh, right, the defects.
yes.
Do we get, we didn't really test this though.
Oh, well, our tests work, so why bother? No, let's actually test it.
So we need to rerun.
Yes, the application. But it is kind of funny, right? It's like that,
Right,
I talk about this where it's like, I don't run my application that much
right.
because I'm just, writing tests, writing code, writing tests, writing code, and everything then just works most of the time. 99% of the time. Unless you haven't tested certain areas like configuration or UI, and then that's where I expect failures.
Let me make sure this is the right number of columns. Yep.
All right, Suiji, see you later.
CSVG. Import. Okay.
All right.
Theoretically it imported. And then we don't want New Year's, we want, I'm going to pick protest. Got the song, but for some reason a gazillion of them.
Yeah, so this is an untested area that we probably want to deal with. So this is we must have done something wrong with the stream, or did we? Because I'm pretty sure we're not returning multiple values for an individual song. So I wonder.
Let's try just as a debugging, politics and America to see what we get. Actually, let's try one that's got two. Death. Interesting. That's not helping.
Yeah, so I think let's.
Now this one I think might fail. No, didn't. Well, hard to tell. Yeah, same there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an interesting failure mode.
It is.
Let's go look at our first suspect, which is, so as I mentioned, like it always works almost, except for the untested areas. So we first want to focus on what are the untested areas, and the untested area is the code that we wrote where we didn't have a test, which was in our song theme searcher, the controller.
Interesting. How did that happen?
Do a reformat because it'll probably align everything where that one currently is. Yeah. So what I'd want to do is have the song view class do this work. And this is something that Sweetie mentioned before, and I think it's actually time to do it. So generally what I like is for my data transfer object to do the conversion to and sometimes from, but in this case, from the domain to the DTO itself. So let's do that. So
So would
let's,
we put this into a method and then move the method into the song view
yes.
class?
Yep.
So we would extract.
So we want to figure
Here.
out what do we want to be ending up, right? So the first thing I think about, especially when I have a very long stream call, is do we want this entire call to be in the song view?
Right, because this is doing a. The answer is no, because this is doing all of the songs, not a single song.
Well, that's not the part I have a problem with. The part I have a problem with is this is calling song service search by theme. So what I want
Ah,
is I want my DTOs to take domain objects and return the DTOs. So
which
so what we'd want to do is we want to split this into the sort of the two things we had before, although in a slightly different way, because now we're going to hold on to the list of song.
is there a way to say extract or take the rest of this and put it into a. I should be using W. To take all this and put it into a.
You could, but I find that to be much
Awkward.
harder than just extract variable and then take the whole thing.
Extract variable with part. I think I'm not grokking.
So extract variable on song service dot search by theme.
Ah, that makes sense.
And we call it found songs.
Ah, I feel like we deleted that, didn't we?
Yes, we did. But now,
I know it's different. I'm just
but now
evil.
it's, yeah, sometimes what goes around comes around. So then we can take the entire from there to the end.
Okay. Working on my muscle memory. There we go. So you're
Yeah. So
saying take
now we can extract the entire.
to there.
Yeah. And so I would call this either from something like that is probably what I would start with.
Yeah, song views from found songs. Yeah,
Mhm.
that works.
Yep.
And then we move it over into.
Yeah. So you'll have to make it static first, and then we can move it.
Really? Oh, is it because?
Because right now it's an instance method, and you can't move instance methods in the way we want to move them.
Ah, okay. Just no, I can't manually do it. Let me do this.
Yeah, the make a static is hard to get to on Windows because you have to do Control Alt Shift T,
Right to get to it.
which
Yes.
again I recommend mapping to somewhere else. But I
Yeah.
also have I do static enough that I've actually manually mapped that to Control Alt S. Although I don't know if that's a valid mapping on your end.
Control Alt S. Yeah, I'll check it out later.
Yeah.
I just made a to do for myself.
And
Okay,
so
so
now
now
that
we
it's
can move
static,
it,
now you can move it. Yeah.
and we want to move it
And
to song view, right?
right.
And escalate.
Yep.
Everything else is good, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So now we can write a test for our DTO to make sure that it's doing the right thing.
Do we want to inline this now, or do you think it's
No, I don't feel the need to inline that.
okay? So sorry, you were saying we should write a test for,
We should write a test for the method that we just extracted and moved.
right. Looks like we don't have a song view test class yet. Would
That's
you
right.
test this tight in, or should we do it
No, we want
farther
to
up
test this directly, right?
directly?
And this is something that's different from how a lot of people do it, is I don't want to test through anything else. I don't want any intermediaries. I want
Hmm.
to know if I give it a list of song, is it going to give me a list of song views that are correctly structured? And especially once we get to uh, actually a proper song view, because right now it just has the title. Then this we'll need to do some more testing.
Yeah. Package okay. Yep. Looks like we're all good.
Hey, oh, Wally. I don't use JPA, so I don't use IntelliJ's JPA. I don't use JPA because I think most projects don't need JPA. And this goes back to people do what they copy what they see without understanding why they're copying what they're seeing. So I see lots and lots of projects to do Spring Data JPA, which is Hibernate underneath, and don't understand the immense complexity that brings in, and don't think about whether they actually need that complexity. But basically, I don't use JPA.
You're saying most projects don't need that complexity.
They don't need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, let's create 10 microservices when we've got one team of 5 people and not a lot of load. So there's 2 things involved. There's fashion, which is the microservices, and then there's copy what everybody else is doing without thinking, which is a different form of fashion.
Okay. So we want to test.
So what we want to think about is how easy is it going to be to test this? Do we want to test this directly, or do we want to further refactor? I think this one is probably reasonable. So we want to test is, given a list of songs, does it pull out the title?
Right. Even though it's saying it's right, I guess it is a title. It's putting into the view the title only.
Right.
I don't remember
So
like given when then.
Dr. Twitch Easy says, do you still use @entity? Yeah, so I'll still use ORMs because I find them mostly convenient. But I'll use something like Spring Data JDBC because it does just the right amount of ORM for me. What are we doing?
Why does it keep popping up that build output?
Because you're.
Did I type something? I was typing on the other screen by the monitor. It was weird. Okay. So we're working on the name for this test. So this is taking found songs.
Yeah, converts found songs to song views. And so I think we can copy the creation of a couple of songs from somewhere, from one of our tests.
No, that's a bad search.
So what I tend to do is I basically just open up the project window and find a test that I think might have the appropriate thing in it.
I've been so like
Yeah.
focused on trying to do keyboard strokes that I'm like, I've been keeping that out of my brain.
And if I were to use find in files, then I might look for a list of song. It's like where is there a list of song? Because that probably is going to find the right thing.
And we want it to be in a test.
Right, and you can tell because there's a green background, so that makes it easier to
Yeah.
find.
Well, this is a parser, so we need an input list. Oh, wait a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, so like that song service test, so that first test might be okay. Yep. So it's creating a couple songs from the song factory, so we can just grab those. So here's where I might get fancy with the multi-caret.
Ah,
Uh,
okay. Alt J? Yeah.
yep.
Oops. Not Control J, Alt J.
And then you can use the widen to get the whole expression.
Yep. I somehow.
You switched too early.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I did. So then the Control W for widening it.
Right.
Well, this. Oh,
Yep.
interesting.
Yep. And then you can copy it and then paste. So I'm not sure I put this into a song. I basically would just add a comment at the end and then just do list of for the whole thing.
1 second. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, Ted. I'm back.
So basically, in between the two lines, I'd put a comma. So at the end of line 13,
Oh, and then do list of.
and then do list dot of. Yep. And then I'd assign it to a variable. And then that's songs. Yep. Yep.
Get a list of songs. And we now want to call. Do we have? Oh, we do. Right. Song view.
Mm-hmm. No, so what I would do is just call the method, and then we can assign it to a variable. So it's we made it a static method.
Oh, we did. Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yep. Frommed.
Frommed. That's really funny.
That's
I
not a
want to go
word.
with song views.
Yes, that's the better word.
Frommed. Okay. Insert that.
I think we can start simple. So Tukes, I'm not sure if you were here after we took the break. We had a whole discussion about interfaces. So if you missed that part, go back and watch it. But if you have more questions about it, feel free to ask, and we'll drill down. So Al-Wali mentions, yeah, I dislike Lombok. I think it's problematic. So I have no problem with creating methods like we've done. I have I always talk about sort of the hierarchy of test data helpers. So I start with extracting something common into another private method or just method inside of a test class. When I want to start using it across tests, then I'll pull it out into like we did for a Song Factory here. And then when I need more complex configuration, where sometimes I want it with this and sometimes I want it with that, then I will go and create a test data builder. I see far too many folks, though, again, copy pasting what they see without understanding the benefits and drawbacks, and use builders when they're always specifying the same values. The whole idea of test data builders is you want generally to use the defaults and maybe override one or two properties. If you're always specifying everything, then you're pointlessly creating a builder, and you may as well just have a single method that takes all those parameters. So what test data builders solve is, I have a method that just takes the song title. Now I have another method that takes the title and the artist. Now I have another method where I don't care about the title, I don't care about the artist, but I do care about the themes. Well, I don't care about, right? And so now you've got all this variety of different possibilities. And instead of having 10 different overloaded methods with eight, with different combinations of parameters, you create a builder to handle that situation. Um, and a side note, it is not the Gang of Four pattern builder. It is actually a separate pattern, what I call block builders, named after Josh Block, who wrote about it in Effective Java. But they are not to be confused with the Gang of Four builder. The Gang of Four builder is a different pattern. Once again, semantic diffusion causes people to use the term that actually the same term to mean two different things. So I always sort of have this ladder of complexity of my test creation stuff, depending on what I need. Yeah.
Never mind. I was just doing it to.
Yep.
I'll do it later.
All right. Let's run all of our IO free tests so we can get back in the swing of doing that.
Totally.
All
Wasn't
right.
that gloriously fast
So yes,
after running the slow
such a
ones?
relief.
That was beautiful.
So that worked. We can do a little bit more introspection into the song views. So it has two. Let's just make sure it has the right content, which I'm pretty sure it does. So instead of has size 2, let's just say contains exactly. And then let's give it a couple of song view objects. Remember, they're only going to have the title. So.
Oh, right.
Excellent. That should still pass. All right. I actually want to write like a custom formatter. I don't know if IntelliJ has the right settings for this, but like where if I say auto format, it will go into all my test methods. And if there's a blank line before the close, because somehow they always end up there, that it would automatically get rid of it because I never want it, but somehow auto completes and other things somehow they get injected in there.
Because I presume. Oh. No.
Control Alt L.
Yeah, it doesn't get rid of it.
No, because it's not.
Doesn't have that kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I think there is some more advanced formatting, but I'm not sure if that one would be covered. So, all right. Well, so to a certain extent, that's good, but that's also disappointing. But it is a good time to commit. So what did we do? What did we? Yeah, we just basically pulled out conversion of transformation of song to song views.
Yeah. We don't need to say where it came from, do we?
No.
Okay.
En-row tests.
Oh, I can do amend. Now, I can just en-row tests. Oh, right. They're running in the background because of the commit.
Yes.
Come on, go away, little hover.
You can just hit escape.
There you go.
So we haven't discovered where our problem is.
Right.
Um,
Because this is the, well, we do know that it's not in the whole from.
right. So we know that the transformation is correct. So if we go back on the top, if we go back to the song theme searcher, um, do we have a test directly against this method?
Search by theme.
Yeah.
Got two. You can go look at them, see if they're.
Yeah, let's look at them. Although it's really delegating, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But we do have where we got two songs. We added those two songs.
Whoa, why did it go from having two tests to, oh, two within here? Never mind.
So let's go back to that other test that was calling that was adding two songs. Um,
This is testing via the service, but it's no.
so it's not using the importer in this case. Can we go
Oh,
back to our end-to-end ish test back in the start
forget what.
song theme startups test?
Okay, thanks. I was like, where is that one?
Uh, let's create our TSV songs to have multiple.
Right.
Like, let's actually use what you pasted in.
Oh, I see what
That
you mean.
cau
Right,
that
right, right.
that cau that caused us to be bewildered.
Got it.
Because at this level, I like to use realistic data because it is end-to-end-ish, and we're just, in a sense, sanity checking.
And I can do the convert to.
Well, what I might do is undo the paste and then put three of those for the text blocks. Yeah, and now paste. You want to paste it on the next line. Yep.
Yep.
Uh,
Interesting. There was an extra.
so, and
Ah,
and I want you to leave that.
yeah. I'm not
Yeah,
going to change that.
yeah. All right, so let's run that test. We expect it to fail because we expect it to have,
No songs with
well,
thank
no
you.
songs. So let's make it actually so let's search for protest because that was one of the searches we did. And now we expect to have size of 1. And
Run them all.
let's just run this test.
Right, because it's a slow test. So
Yeah. Don't want to make it any slower.
we're
All
going to need
right.
to make this big.
So
Expected 1, got 9.
that's fascinating.
Interesting.
Well, that's good. So now we've got a failing test here.
And the artist is correct. The song title is correct. It's just we get lots of them instead of
Yeah, it's
just
basically the same
one.
exact. Now, what's interesting, so what's unclear, so let's close this. I think we got it.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually. I've never made this. Oh, there we go. Oh, I made it a floater. I see.
Oh, that's why.
Okay,
You want to put it back.
maybe grab it at the run.
I don't think you can just drop it back. I think you have to on the right side. No, not that. No, not that. That one, dock
Doc.
it. Yeah. So let's we can close the bottom. What I'm what I'm curious so I always think of hypotheses, like what could possibly be going wrong here? Um, one thing is, uh, are there actually 9 copies of the song? Is that possible? Or are they just the same song is returned multiple times? We can't tell, by just sort of looking at it. Um,
Can we write a test closer in to figure out which of those two it is?
well, what we can do,
Hmm.
um
Oh, I see. Wait a second.
so what we can
Wait a
do is
second.
yeah,
We're parsing. We're putting in a local variable.
right, and then for each of those, we're doing an add.
Oh,
So, if we go into the song, I don't know if I forget if it's a record or not. It is a record. Uh, so let's actually override the two string. So if you go to the bottom and do Control O, and we want the two string.
actually, you can also do it this way, right? Where you say, "Oh, this will then bring you to Control O," or
You could implement it,
do
but
this.
actually, yeah, you could generate a new two string. But I actually want to override it
Ah, okay,
because I want it to do whatever it currently does, and then do something else.
got it. Just that one, right?
Yeah. So what I want to do is return hash code or return super.toString and then plus hash code.
Why is that red? Hmm. Flush hash code. Uh, yeah, hash code.
Oh, does it not like it because we're in a record?
It's not really saying why.
So IntelliJ doesn't tell you why there. It tells you why in the status bar, and that's not
Ah,
always obvious. So if you hover over it, you'll see
down at the
abstract
bottom.
method toString cannot be accessed. Um, that's interesting.
So they
All
made
right,
it private. Interesting.
let's then let's generate one.
Delete this and go back to generation.
Yeah, yep. And on line 28, let's say plus hash code plus comma at the end.
Right here.
Yeah, yep. And then one last plus. So let's run that test again. Yeah, so it's returning well, it depends on how it's calculating the hash code.
Because it could be calculating it based on content, so it would be the same.
Yeah.
even if it was,
Right. That's what I just realized.
yeah. Hmm.
Um,
I was about to say that's cool. The hash code approach. I like that. I still like it. Just didn't solve our problem. Hmm.
so what we can do is we can actually ask for um, in the test. We can basically ask, are these the same? Is the first and the second one
Hmm.
the same? Let's do that in our test. So above the assert you currently have. So let's assert that. So let's save off the search by theme. We'll save that off into a variable because we're going to use it. No, no, not that.
Oh, search by theme.
Yeah.
So let's pull this out. Oh, actually, wait a second. No.
Nope.
There we go.
Uh, so let's call these found songs. And then let's assert that found songs I forget if assert J has all are different. It doesn't. What I was hoping for is assert that none of these are the same. Which we could do with a predicate, but I think we'll just make it easier on ourselves. So let's back up a bit. So instead of found songs, we'll say found songs dot get sub 0, or just get first. And then we'll say assert that is not same as. And then we can do found songs dot get last.
Where did it die? Expected, not the same.
So it's returning the same copy multiple times.
Times.
That's so bizarre. All
Should we
right.
look a little?
Well, now that so my hypothesis was that it was actually adding the same song multiple times. But if it did that, we would have ended up with ones that were new instances with the same data, and that's not what's happening because otherwise the objects wouldn't be the same. So let's go. Let's find a test that is closer to our search by theme.
Got one. This one here.
And I think I saw something.
Oh yeah, want me to go back?
Um, so yeah, so let's look at tests that are directly calling this method.
I think it's just the one.
Oh,
Oh,
really? It's just the one?
yeah,
Hmm.
this one here at the bottom. Song with multiple themes is found by its second theme.
So we didn't actually have any tests that returned multiple that were testing for returning multiple songs.
Doesn't look like it. There's only one test of by theme total.
Wow. Okay. Well, then
See,
we
most of
were
them are up here, song
yeah.
title. And right, we just moved from using song titles by theme off the searcher to now using by theme.
Okay. So
I wonder if we should convert all those other tests to by theme. Well, we got a failing test though.
yeah, we let's fix the failure and then we can address that.
Yeah.
So, uh
I was gonna scroll up a bit if that's okay.
yeah.
I want to see if there's a
So,
loop.
so let's create a test that's um not like any of the one. Let's scroll up a couple. Yeah, let's take that one, line 41. Let's duplicate that test.
Whoops.
And then let's call it search by theme, even though that sounds the same.
Yeah.
And let's change the one above it to be uh, finds matching song titles. Sorry, finds multi. I just wanted the last part changed. Yeah, just change songs to song titles.
Ah, got it.
Okay. And let's change this to instead of the song titles by theme, that it's the by theme. Everything else should be fine. And maybe stick in a space between about 57.
Um, okay. So we wanted
And
to test against song searcher by theme.
right.
Whoops.
And that'll obviously need to change to list of song. You can auto fix that or not.
Now I'm gonna auto fix it. Yeah. And now we could actually
Um,
deal from here, right?
uh, sure.
Nope, too far. No, actually that's okay.
All right, so let's run our IO free tests. And sort of my hope is that this one fails. No.
But something is different though, right? We are create song searcher. The other tests here, the import songs service is using song parser, adding it to the song service, which is adding it to the repository and the song searcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I suspect the repository thing is causing some problems. So after the import songs, um,
We were
uh,
in theme test, right?
yeah, but let's go to the bottom of what you have open. And after we do the import songs, so we can get rid of that assertion about the first song and last song. Get rid of that.
Right.
Um, what I'd like is access to the song repository and assert against that. So what we'll need to do is, in our test, we'll need to auto-wire the song repository.
Oh,
Is that not auto-wireable?
could not overwire. No beans of song repository type were found.
Yeah, so I have a strong suspicion that and we mentioned it before, that sort of this relationship between the song repository and the song service, and the song searcher is all
Munged.
messed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um
Are you thinking of temporarily making song repository a bean so it can be auto-wired?
no, I'm thinking of, our song repository, is kind of useless and might be actually causing some problems. So, I'd like to
Try ripping it out
well,
or disconnect it.
so I'd like to test the theory of disconnecting it. So let's undo the auto-wired part that you just wrote, because that's not working
Mm.
at the bottom.
Oh,
So let's go to the song searcher on the top there. And let's go to the yeah, I see what the problem is.
oh, you do?
Yeah, let's keep going. So let's go up, scroll up to the add song method. Sorry, not here in the song service.
Oh,
Let's comment out 27 and then run all IO free tests and see what happens.
so that disconnected repository.
At least from being added to. Yeah. So
But that's a different test, though.
yeah, so that's the song importer test, which was tracking what was what was imported by looking at the repository. And the song service test is probably also looking at basically our song saved to the repository. But what I was noticing, so let's put that back so we don't want to have broken tests. And I know there's some questions in chat. We'll get to those. We can close the bottom now, or yeah, you can rerun the tests. So scroll down. So let's go into song searcher. No, sorry, where we are at the bottom of that top part. That's not where it was.
No, I think it was here.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. So there's something very wrong with this method, and I'm sure we had a good reason for it, but now it just looks weird.
Do we have tests for it? Nope.
Yeah, so we don't have any direct tests for it, which isn't by itself a problem. But who calls it?
Only called by add song.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to see who calls add song? Should be just this one, right?
Right.
Yeah, one production and the rest tests.
So so let's So, sorry, go back to so who was calling that? What test was calling that?
Oh, what test was calling it?
What test was calling this ad song? No, no, sorry.
The one we were
Go
just at.
yeah.
This one.
This method, who's call which tests are calling that?
Service song theme searcher test and song service test.
So let's go to song service test. Um,
Is this the one we just cloned?
we
No.
cloned one like it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so scroll down.
That's the third test. Or the second test that's using it.
Yeah. So let's uh let's scroll up a bit. So that test is save songs, added songs are saved to repository. What I'm looking for is tests where we're testing that that stuff is retrieved. So can you scroll up on the bottom? No, sorry, scroll up
My
towards the
bad.
top. Yep. No, that's my fault. Um, let's do this. So my hypothesis is we don't have tests for songs that with multiple themes that we get the correct count.
Right.
So if we look at the startup tests, the one that reproduces the problem, one thing that's interesting is there are uh, Halloween and Death. Uh, like that song is the one that seems to be uh, repeated multiple times versus the protest one.
Right. And
So
curiously,
yeah,
if we ran it for Halloween, I'm pretty sure we got 3 results, whereas protest got 9.
I think it's the other way around. I think protest got like 6, and
Oh, politics got 9.
I don't think it's running anymore. Is it?
Still is. Yeah.
Okay.
It might be between runs. It might not be valid anymore.
So what I want to do is so go back to the previous test. So Command E is your friend here.
Oh, you mean a different class.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that so this no, not that one. That's where we are.
The one above it.
No. No. The one down.
One
That one.
down.
Yes. Okay, this one. Let's add more themes to those ad songs.
Mm. Add more songs or just more themes?
More themes.
Is it a vargs?
It is not, so we will have to.
Oh, interesting. Create a song. What does this factory method look like? Oh,
So we
it's
have create song that takes a list of, so we can use that one.
it's create song public. Yes, good. Huh.
So let's change New Year's to be list of, and then we'll add in another theme. You can do a .arg.
Oh yeah. Oh, I guess I didn't need the dot.
Now you can do list of. Yep. Just put something like year. Yeah, I can put protest.
Do it for the other one as well, or no?
Let's not do it for the other one. Let's run the test, see if that makes any difference. I have a feeling that it has to be in the other order, but we'll see. Yeah. So note what happened.
There's more of them.
There's more of them. In fact, there's 2 of them. In
Yep.
fact, there's one for every theme. Let's add one more theme to that one and see how many
One.
we get.
So for each theme, it's probably making a record.
So let's see. Yeah. So what's happening is, and I suspect it's because of the weird way, or not weird, but sort of non-idiomatic way we're creating new song searchers every time. There's something that uh, either it's there or it is. So Dr. Twitcheasy says some flat hat mayhem. Yeah, there may be some. So there's something where when we're adding multiple themes, sorry, adding the songs with multiple themes, they get added once per theme. Um, which makes sense, right? Because when we're uh, they are ending up in three separate lists.
Right.
Um, so we've got a problem with the way we're actually indexing our songs, because it's not returning three different songs with the same content. It is returning the same song three times. So there's something wrong at the level of our song searchers. So we can now we can now dive in closer and see what our tests are that are directly against um, the song searcher. So it
Add in
turns out,
particular.
add in particular, yes. So it turns
And it's
out, right, we've got this flat map, and that may be causing the issue. So the question is are we adding it incorrectly because of our flat map, and the fact that this is kind of under tested would lead me to the same conclusion that Dr. Twitcheasy had. Do we want to take a break since we're well
sure.
overdue?
Yeah,
Um,
let's take a quick 5.
so let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll answer some of the questions that have queued up, and then
Oh,
we'll fix the bug.
sounds good.
All right. So just a reminder that tomorrow I'll be appearing on the Agile Lunch and Learn. Link is in the comments, and I'll be talking about my TDD game, talking about predictive test-driven development, stuff that we've been doing here on stream, and talking about the game and why it's both fun and, uh, as they used to say, if you're not careful, you might learn something. All right. So there were a couple of questions. So I'm not might have left, but Dr. Twitcheasy asked, "Is there a way to view what was stored?" And so there's a we could have dropped into the debugger, and probably my guess is at least seen what we're seeing now more readily, right? We could have taken the test that we had failing, put it in the debugger, and then look, at the song searcher and see what's going on. Um, I tend to avoid that, uh, mainly because I think it's really useful to be more methodical. Like coming up with hypotheses and then seeing how can we write a test that actually fails. Because then eventually we'll get to a test like we just did, uh, and we still have closer to go is tests that reproduce the problem. And that's what I really want, because then I know that when I finally fix it and my tests pass, I don't have to go back to the debugger and double check and do things like that. So I always want to really, and I sometimes feel like maybe I go too far, but I really want a test that fails as opposed to just finding out the problem in the debugger.
It also, in addition to not having to go back in the debugger to check afterwards, is you now have a test in, I don't want to say in perpetuity, but a
Yeah,
long-lived test that keeps your guardrails up.
yeah, and I mean, that was what regression means is we found a problem, we fixed it, and we want to test to make sure we don't accidentally break that again. So yeah. Um, Alwali had mentioned something about when do I think it's necessary to have a before all method, and I think it's never. Never. Now I won't say never, because actually there are some cases where it's useful. Uh, when you're writing tests that have some complex setup that have nothing to do with what the test is testing. For example, getting a schema set up in a database that you're about to test. If that doesn't happen for you as part of the test you're doing, then that's fine, as long as you're not testing is the schema there. And the way I think about this is, if I just look at this test by itself and I couldn't scroll around and look anywhere else, would I understand why it's asserting what it's asserting? Or is there missing information? So a before all that sets up some test data that says, hey, this song thingy is going to have these songs in it. And then I'm looking at my test and it's saying, hey, I assert that those songs are there. Now I don't have a test that's readable in isolation. And that's important because we look at tests and we'd like to be able to read them by themselves and understand them fully. Um, so the real symptom is I had a lot of initialization and the test was hard to read. Notice what we've been doing in our tests, right? This is where you get encapsulated setup. You encapsulate into a single method the stuff that is noisy and unimportant, but you leave the stuff that is important. And so, instead of stuffing the information in an unnamed, almost invisible area like a before or each or a before all, we give it a named method like we do in our code. And for me, it's sort of strange that we don't treat our code in the same way, our test code in the same way as our production code. Like, we refactor stuff and give stuff names so that its stuff is readable. Why do we not do the same thing with our tests? Well, we should. So if the test is hard to read because it's got a lot of noise, then extract. And usually, in my experience, it's the setup that is often has lines and lines and lines and lines of initialization, setting things up, wiring things up, pre-filling some information. And I generally find those at the outer layers, against the application layer. Well, that's what refactoring is for. Extract to a method, and then reintroduce. Make sure you haven't extracted out all the information, otherwise you have the same problem. And then make the method, parameterize the method so that you're passing just what we need. So putting them in before all to me makes it invisible and makes it really hard to find. Encapsulating it in a method where that method call is right there at the top of the test, it means I can jump right to it if I need to see exactly what it's doing, but most of the time I don't need to, right?
The
Same.
other oh,
Yeah,
sorry, keep going.
go ahead. Go
The
ahead.
other problem with before all is now that setup is being called for every single test.
Yes.
Do you really need that? I mean, a lot of times
Yes.
each test needs different setup.
Right. 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 Or
Then it gets just ugly and
then
keeps.
yeah, and then tests start breaking, or you start making a change to the before all. Now you've broken a bunch of tests, and so it's sort of this all or nothing, which I think is if it's something that you're creating the connection to the database, great, that's fine. But in almost every other case, you don't want setup to apply to every test. That's a great point. All right, so let's write a closer in test.
Okay. Let's see. So we were here, right?
Well, we want to test directly against that method that's at the top, the add method there.
We had. Do we have a test for it?
Well, we don't.
Yeah, no, I just think there was a test class.
You can go to see if there's a test class. Command Shift T.
Control Shift T.
Sorry, Control Shift T.
Do we want to use the existing one?
Well,
Song theme
that's
searcher?
not the right
Oh, right.
test.
We wanted to do it against,
We want a new test.
but in the same. Well, we'll just see where it goes.
So that's really interesting that we never ended up creating. So probably what happened, and this happens uh, when you extract classes and things like that, is you end up not retargeting tests, and not perhaps writing more tests to test boundary behaviors and things like that. So
We all good?
yep.
Oh, why doesn't IntelliJ know the tests go on the bottom?
I
Jeez.
don't know. Although tests technically should go at the top and code at the bottom, but we
I
seem
can
to have,
switch.
it's fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's
Did
consistent, it's
did
been
we
that
just
way.
naturally gravitate away from that? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
they're all green at the bottom, so we'll stick with it.
Yeah. I can switch it later. So let's see. Actually, no, I just do this.
Yep.
Okay. So we want to test add song.
Yep. So add songs with multiple themes are added correctly.
Added correctly is always a bit of a red flag, but we can tweak it once we get the assert.
Yeah, I'm not. I know there's some better ideas, but for now, it's
Yeah. No, I'm that way. I tend to have my names not good enough at first. So this is better than that. Okay. So we need a song searcher.
So what I would say is it's actually add song. Let's start with adding one song with multiple themes, and then we'll go to add multiple songs with multiple themes.
Right.
So we can just grab the stuff we had from another test. Probably not that one. Sure, that looks good. Yeah, we only need one of those.
Oh, right. Okay.
But we want it to have multiple themes.
No, it's .org.
So one thing that I want to do is add another postfix that does list of.
Oh, yeah. Is that another Squeegee special?
I don't know if he's got one. I'd have to go look at his gists.
Postfix.
I have one set up like that. I like how you're making a lung sign of a protest song. That's great.
Yeah. Now we can just.
That's awesome. Totally should be a protest song. I protest against singing it is what I do. All right, so let's add it and see what we find.
We need a song searcher.
We do need a song searcher, yes.
Is there a factory for it? And we pass in the song.
So I don't want to do it that way.
Ah.
I want to go through the add song the add method as we've done it.
Okay, so we're gonna do.
I'm laughing because we must have said his name a few times.
Phil Summit. I guess we rubbed the. What is it now? I forgot what it's called. So we don't have a create. We could just just new it up.
I don't think we
Oh,
can.
we can't. There's no. So if we want to, do we need a
You can just
new?
you just call that
factory?
one with no parameters because it's a var args, the last one.
Oh, that's true. What am I doing wrong?
I usually do AST, and that usually does what I want.
There we go. No, or do you want to do it?
No. Well, add is a command, so we would never assert against a command. But there is an issue there already.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is because we were treating the song searcher as an immutable thing, and when we ever wanted to add it, we would return basically a copy of it. So let's hold on to this one. Let's just reassign the variable.
Meaning this?
Yeah,
Nope.
that, yes.
Yeah. And then we want to know that there's only, well, by theme.
Right. And we can do protest. And that should only have a size of 1, yeah.
Yeah. Ah,
Did you run the right test? I don't think you ran the right test. Oh, wait. Oh, no, because that test is still failing. Let's disable that other test.
this one?
Yeah. Because I don't want to get confused by that one failing.
Yeah. So it passed.
All right. So now let's write the next test, which is add multiple songs with multiple themes are added correctly. Uh, yes, we have not pushed the latest to the GitHub repository yet. We'll make sure to do that today. I'm glad you're enjoying the streams. All right, so let's add another song.
I don't like doing that, but I'm going to do this for now.
That's fine. You can grab it from your clipboard buffer if you want.
Oh, another song, you mean?
Yeah.
Actually, let me grab one that's we haven't done at all. Now, do we want any of these to have overlapping themes?
I believe we do.
Okay, so this should be 2. Do we still want to test against protest, or 1
Yeah,
is
that's
only
not going to
1?
matter. I think that's fine. So that should have size of 2.
Meaning that this test we're hoping to fail?
I'm hoping this test fails, yes.
Okay. Expected 2, got 3.
Mm-hmm.
Irrelevant artist.
Yeah, because the song factory
Oh, right.
does that.
Right.
So note what's happening here is the one that's duplicated was the one that was already there. So that's why when we add one song, it's fine. It's when we add the song again, that's not fine.
It's almost like, no, I don't really know. I was going to say something, but it's not true. So it's adding this song twice?
Yes, so when we do the add of the song 2, when it's turning the existing map into a stream, there are now 2 copies of the first song in that because the first song was indexed by 2 themes. So Auld Lang Syne is in the map twice indexed under 2 different themes. So I think we can still reproduce this by having only a single, and overlapping is irrelevant for the second song. So if you change the second song to just have a single theme and make it Halloween, I predict that that will still fail. Oh, okay. So that is not it. So it does require the second song to have multiple themes. So let's change the next one to add another theme that's not one of the 2 we already have.
Meaning it's,
So
oh, I
meaning
see. Right.
meaning, arbitrary. So it
Yeah.
may have to do with overlapping. Yeah, so it looks like it is having to do with overlapping. So let's change that to protest. And now let's see what happens. Yeah. So it has to do with all right. So now that we see that, let's close the bottom and let's look at our code. So what is our code doing in this case? So the first time it grabbed the songs, should we do a SAF squeeze?
A what?
A SAF squeeze?
I don't know what that is.
So the SAF squeeze is basically crap. I have no idea, even though this is only basically 3 or 7 lines of code, I have no idea which part's broken. So let's inline
Oh,
uh, the add method on line. Oh, we may not be able to do that because it has access to the map. This might be tricky. Uh, let's do this. Let's make theme to songs map. Let's make it package access instead of private. So just jump to it.
yeah.
Um, so let
Package.
so let's
I
just
forget if you,
so you just delete private.
and that makes it package, right?
That makes a package. It's
Okay.
called also called default access or default visibility. Now on in our test on line 30,
Huh? Oh, yeah.
in our test on line
Yeah, yeah.
30,
Sorry.
bottom line 30, inline that add method. And so just the one and keep the method. Yep. Okay, great. So now what we can do is now we can do assertions
Why did it
on
move 2 ahead of 1?
what do you mean?
So am I inlining the second one only
Correct.
and not the first one?
The first one is not broken.
No, I know, but looks like it reversed the order, but I mean, I
No,
might have just misread it.
no,
Inline, this one, keep the method.
right. Yeah, now the song 2 is mentioned on line 34, but the original one, the first one is on line 30, and that's still there.
Oh,
It
way up
hasn't
there.
changed.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So now what we can do is we can say, all right, what do we expect the song stream to have? Well, we expect that there's only one song in it, and so we what we want and this is going to be tricky, so we'll have to do a to list first. Uh Yeah, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of saving off what's there. Um,
This is what
yeah,
you're saying?
yeah. So let's do a to list and hold on to that.
Okay.
Let's call it before adding second song. Uh, and now let's assert on that. So that'll have consumed song stream. So we'll have to recreate song stream. Um, so sorry, before we finish writing the assert, let's make sure uh, line 38 song stream. So after the concat, we call that before adding a second song. Let's do this a different way. So sorry, let's undo a bunch before we do the stream to list. So undo past that. Keep going. Yep, keep going. I could have just had you delete all that. Let's extract song stream from line 35 into a variable. No, just the song stream.
Yeah, I don't know why it was.
Because it gives you options and it assumes you want the
Oh,
whole thing, but you have to tell it,
yeah,
"No, I
yeah.
don't want that."
I want that one. Right, right, right.
Yeah. So we'll call this, uh, before add
Original song stream?
sure, original song stream is fine. Now instead of song stream, what we're gonna do is because the annoying part of streams is once you use them up, you basically can't do anything with them without using them up, and we don't wanna use it up. So what we're gonna do, uh, is, do song stream on the right of 35. I wonder, can we do a copy of that too? I don't know what that would do. No, there's no copy method. I'm just wondering if there's a copy of it. So we can convert it to a list and then convert that back to a stream. So let's do that. And then dot stream. So that's basically a do nothing. It's just adding some intermediate operations. So the test should still fail in the same way. So let's make sure it does. All right.
Yes.
And so now we can extract the songstream.toList to a new variable. And this is list of songs before add, before second add. All right. Now what we can do is now we can assert after 35 without being worried about um,
Breaking.
using up the stream and not having it available for line 40. So what we want to do is we want to assert that, well, we've added one song. What's our expectation of how many songs are in the map?
I would hope only one.
Yeah,
This is probably going to
we
be.
we wish.
Yeah. Well, did you want to test what we wanted to do or
No,
what
no,
you?
I want to
Okay.
test what we kind of thought it should have done.
Right. Okay. Let's run it. We are theorizing it's going to fail.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which of course makes sense given that uh theme songs dot values gives us the song in with two different keys. So since that's wrong, let's let's fix it. Um, in fact, we could go even further and say, well, is that a values problem or is that a flat map problem? Because right now we can't tell the difference. So let's extract out the values into a variable and assert on that.
So that would be how far up to there or to there?
Well, you need the whole thing because you're calling a method.
Oh, right. To
Yeah.
there?
Uh-huh.
Method or var?
No variable.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Now, it'll be interesting to see what um are you waiting on something?
Nope. Keep going. I'm listening.
Oh, because I don't see your cursor.
Oh,
Okay. Um, so let's after 32, let's assert that the values has a size of 1.
I messed up.
I actually, honestly, I wasn't quite sure until we actually pulled the code in. It wasn't clear where the problem might have been, but I'm actually still not 100% convinced. I so now, like, so this is what's interesting to me about the SAF squeeze is, on the one hand, it makes stuff more accessible, so we can start doing more tiny asserts. Um, but the other thing is it also makes you think about each of the steps more clearly. So this one, um, we're actually going to get two, aren't we? We've added the song once, but it's been added to the map with two different keys, right? New Year's and protest. Now, what I find interesting is maybe that's not the problem because we saw that it only happened when we had overlapping. So now I'm not sure. So let's
Hmm.
see what happens. Okay, so there are two. And so that's wrong kind of right off. Is that wrong? It's wrong because we basically have taken one song and duplicated it. Um, yeah, that's just wrong. Well, what do we want? We want it. Uh, it's not quite wrong because it depends on what we want. The song is indexed by two of its keys, but when we, yeah, so in a sense, what we do is we pull everything out of the index and then we re-index everything. It's not that we pull the map and copy the map and then add the new song, which is really, I think, what we should be. Can you scroll the add method into view on the top? On the top,
Oh, sorry, top.
top pane,
Yeah,
scroll
yeah.
add.
I was thinking you're saying top of the same file.
No, the add method.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's so we're basically taking all the songs out of the map, even though they were there multiple times, and then re-indexing them. And when we index them, what we're storing is a map of the theme to a list, not a theme to a set. Is that correct? Because if it were a set, that actually might be okay. Because sets can't have multiple copies of the same thing. Lists don't care. Whatever you add, it'll add it. Um,
So is there a two set?
well, I mean, that would change the structure. So the map would have a different structure.
Hmm.
So Suiji's correct that we would still have duplicates, which in a sense, really, I think is wrong. Um, but at least we would paper over the problem by using set. So that could solve it, but it doesn't solve the core problem, which is uh, that what we're trying to do with add is return a copy of Song Searcher with the new song added. The problem is that the interface, so the constructor to Song Searcher doesn't have here's an index, go just use this, because we have to so basically re-indexes all the stuff. So yeah, so one possibility is we could basically say when we pull stuff out, and flat map it, and then make it unique, then that would solve the problem. The other is, yeah, like Suiji mentions, we could also um, just hold on to the list as a separate thing. Hey there, Ow oh, you whatever, Oujda 48, sorry, unpronounceable, to me. Is there harm to make duplicated code in tests? Certainly, I agree, I would rather have duplication anywhere, not just in tests, rather than unclear code or tests. So, well, the behavior of Song Searcher is able to find songs by theme. It happens to index them in a specific way, but that's an implementation detail. We could store it just in a list and linearly search through it. Um, so the fact that it indexes it is an implementation detail. So that's why I wouldn't call it song index. If it were just some kind of index internal thing that we're not sort of exposed, then I might do that. But it's basically a song searcher. You add songs and then you can find them. The real question, I think, is from a design standpoint, how do we feel about this design?
Feels kind of janky to me, but don't
Yeah.
fully grok streams, so
Well, it's not so much a stream issue,
no, I know,
uh,
but I mean
it's
just
it's the immutability of Song Searcher, right? Because that's causing the problem. We could fix
oh, we've got it
the
as final.
symptom, right? We could fix the symptom, which is, let's just make sure that when we pull the values back out of the map, we get a unique set.
Right.
Um, so we could start there, and then we could talk about design. So let's do that. So let's go back to our test.
The failing test, which was this one.
That's not the failing test.
Oh, failing class.
So let's make the bottom window bigger, yeah, because all the code's there. Um, so we now know that the values coming out of the map, in a sense, are not what we'd like. But there's nothing we can do at this level because what we're getting out is basically a collection of lists.
So the dot unique wouldn't have papered it over enough to go to
Well,
green
we
and
can't
then
we can't do a dot unique here because what we're getting are lists, and lists are awkward to deal with from an
oh,
equality standpoint. So we have to basically say, all right, it's going to return 2. So we can say it has size 2 because it's say that's what we expect. And now if we run it, it'll now fail again on line 42. And here's where that precise prediction of line 42 is useful because we've got multiple tests that have assertions about size. And indeed, it failed on that one. So now what we can do is we can say, okay, so we're getting a collection of lists. So we're getting 2 lists, but we only want 1 song. So after the flat map on 38, so 38 and a half, we'll do dot. Is there a dot unique? No. We
oh,
might have to do uh, distinct. Yes. Thank you, Suji. I knew it wasn't unique, and I couldn't think of the other word. So distinct now should give us 1.
okay.
If not, then we are missing something in our understanding. Okay, great. So this repairs the problem of getting a song that was indexed multiple times, but we only want to really end up with one copy of it.
And we
So
only
now,
fixed the test.
go-
We didn't fix the production code.
right? But now what we can do is we can uh, basically take our newfound knowledge and now apply it to our production code and say, well, we know if we add distinct, that will fix it, or that's our current hypothesis. And so now we can undo the SAF squeeze in our test at the bottom.
And actually, before I forget, how do you spell sap squeeze?
SAFF.
And is it an acronym?
No, it's a person's name.
Oh, it's a person's name. Got it. Okay, so we're gonna now undo that. Oh, it's from JR.
No, he just talks about it. SAF squeeze has been around quite some time. I don't
Ah,
actually know how old. So you can pretty much delete lines 32 all the way down till before the assert, before the last assert. So keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, stop. Delete all that, except for line 47. Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say, didn't we need to leave that one?
Yeah. But that one should just be actually a duplicate of the line above it. So you can actually delete it and just duplicate 31. So yeah, so duplicate line, what's great about it is if you don't select anything, it duplicates the current line. If you do select, then it duplicates whatever's selected.
Right.
All right, so assuming we did the right thing, um, yeah, that's probably a good point. Suichi is like, yeah, do a commit before you do a SAS squeeze. Although SAS squeeze tends to be very local to a test, so it's usually not too difficult to revert. But if you have to make multiple changes, then yeah, it's good to. It's very spike feeling. So, all right, let's run the test. Oh, that's true. We did change visibilities, and we would have forgotten that. Yeah. All right, so that fixed it. Let's go restore the visibility of private on our map. So you can close the test. Yeah, we'll go fix it. We'll turn the disabled off in a second.
We can do that now, or
You can do it now.
okay, that's what I thought we were doing. So
Yeah, so we can run that, and now that should pass. Oh. Um,
I want to do
uh,
the
oh, we might have another issue. Uh,
it
so
does look like it
we got some cleanup to do. So let's first
put the disabled back and then do the cleanup,
yeah,
or
so put the disabled back. Let's go to song searcher. Let's go put the private back in front of the map. Let's also go to song and remove the two string. Because we don't need that anymore. You can just revert it by clicking the gutter.
oh, I want to just try this one just because. Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Yep. So I in the back of my head, I thought about that, and then it got dropped. So when we index our songs, it appears that we modify the song. Is that right? Can you re-enable the test that we just disabled and
Yep.
run it? Because I want to take a closer look.
Let me know if you want to see click difference.
Yeah, so notice that, um oh, our test is wrong. Because the actual is correct, but our test is wrong. Because we added multiple themes, but we didn't change our expectation.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So basically duplicate that list of the whole thing,
Oh,
including the list of, because you'll need the list of.
yeah.
And Suiji promised he'd create a postfix for us.
And we're gonna put that on this one.
Yeah. So this is
Now it's
again where it's really important to understand what failed. Because the it we looked, it showed what the actual results were, and it's like that looks fine. What were we expecting? Oh, our expectation was wrong. Excellent.
got bit by the test being wrong.
Yes. Oh, it's already there. Magic. All right. Um, let's go commit.
We did so much.
Well, what we did was we don't have any more disabled tests, right?
No.
Okay. So we fixed a problem with songs getting duplicated in the searcher. You can say song searcher to
Oh,
be more precise about what class we're talking about. All right.
failed to start past
Oh,
two.
we didn't run all the tests, so there might be, as a repercussion, we might have broken something in the configuration.
Mm,
Or IntelliJ just got interrupted because of the amend. That might have been it.
yeah,
Because everything looks good. All
yeah.
right. So now we should be able to try the app, and it should work. It should work better than it did before. That's all I can guarantee.
Okay. And song import, right?
Yep. All right. And then we should be able to find those songs.
Uh, death.
Voila. I assume
Sweet.
that's right.
3 songs.
Yep.
Woohoo. That's a
All right.
good way to end. I think I've
Yeah.
gone
So
for
yeah, we've
how
been
long did
going
we
for a
go for?
while.
Wow, yeah, three and
Three
a
and a
half
half
hours.
hours. Yep. So yeah, so we didn't get to improving our errors. So let's go make sure our Jira is in good shape for next time.
Let's see.
I think you can check off 62 because we basically have done that, and now it's actually working.
Right. It's true.
Um, yeah. So next time, I think we can work on the error messages, and then we can work on We could probably also add the arc unit. That'll be relatively straightforward.
Yeah. Maybe improve isn't the right word. Just having error messages.
Yeah. Having user-friendly messages, error messages, yeah. Um, yeah, and then we can decide, do we want to persist to the database, or do we want to make it easier to skip over columns that we don't care about? So a bit more flexibility on the pasting.
And that's the one that we would need header.
We would need header rows, yeah. And I think we have an entry for skip header rows there on 52. It says skip header rows, but I think for importing,
That's
um,
yeah,
we would actually need the header rows.
right. So then that one just would be something we would ignore. I
Yeah,
mean, right now we're skipping. Well, no, we're not
we're
skipping.
not. We're not.
Yeah.
We're
So
not expecting header rows. Yeah.
this would be a feature that would just go away, or not a feature, but we would just delete that if we end up doing skipping over
Yeah. I
column.
mean, I personally think we should be looking at header rows to do our import and
Yeah.
not be
So
hard
should
coded.
we move this one up to here and then delete this one?
Yes. And I would drop the word consider. I think it's actually pretty important. That's fine. You can say so.
No, I'm just joking.
I'll take responsibility.
So I might have some duplication down here.
I would just clarify this. Skip over unused columns.
Yeah. Did I have another thing down here that was similar?
Well, you had 68. I'm not quite sure what that meant.
Oh, so yeah, right now that I guess would be the same. Right now there are some columns that I have hidden here.
Right. And so if you
That
unhide
would solve
them,
it.
and we only
Yep.
pay attention to that, then that would solve that.
Then that would solve that one. Yep.
Right. Yep. No assignment. That's what's great about this jury. You can't assign it to anybody.
Yeah. Nice try, Sweegie.
Um, yeah, so we can do that stuff. So basically make the import nicer. Um, and we probably want to rethink our song searcher design, our song searcher domain object design. So specifically the immutability. Once we get into uh, to persistence, I think, and we start thinking more about that, I think that will become clear about what we'd want.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I think
Cool.
that's all.
Yay.
So that's all for this time. I think there were some really interesting aspects of running into a problem that we noticed and slowly writing tests that sort of you know kept kept trying to say, is it at this layer? Is it this level? Or is it at a lower level? And continually pushing on that. And then the SAF squeeze made it, helped us confirm what we might have suspected is the problem. And then I really like the SAF squeeze. Like it's because what I like about it is you're not touching the production code. Because what I see
And
some, yeah.
and you're avoiding going in the debugger.
Well,
It's in
yes,
a way,
yeah,
it's a technique
yeah,
to answer the person earlier about, well, what if we just looked at what was in there,
all right,
right?
yeah. Because what I like about it is because one of the things that people often do is, oh, let's make this method public. Let's make this method public, and then start testing against. It's like if it's hard to test or it's doing too much, then and instead of trying to modify the production code, bring it into the test so you can do whatever you want, and it's the right thing because you literally did an inline. And then you can do sort of more micro testing, as it were. Uh, and essentially, we did look at what's in there, but we were doing it through the test, which meant that what we ended up with is a test that finally passed. And so now that test is there forever and will protect against any future regressions that we might unintentionally make. So exactly in a reproducible way. Yeah. So it's a great technique for situations like this where the code is still just doing too much, or we're no longer sure what it's doing. In addition, it's unsurprising that we sort of ran into this because for whatever reason, and again, TDD doesn't guarantee anything. We didn't test the add method directly enough, or really at all. We had always been testing it indirectly. And so this is sort of TDD won't help you. Code coverage won't help you. Mutation testing might help you, but mutation testing is not a very subtle. It doesn't do very subtle mutations, and so it may or may not have helped us find the problem. But now that but because we had all of our other tests, we were able to quickly write those and sort of put up more um, good supports to help us figure out when things go wrong.
Yeah, it was all triggered by the end-to-end test that made us go, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Or no, wait a second. Did we write the end-to-end test first, or did
No, we
we
wrote.
observe the
We
application?
observed, yeah, we observed it, and we said, sort of. I said, it'll work except where we don't have testing,
Right.
and it's true to a certain extent. It didn't work because we didn't have kind of an end-to-end test. So I thought that was useful
Yeah.
because then from there we sort of um, dialed it in, level by level, getting closer and closer to the one method that was causing the problem, and then from there getting down to the one line of code that was causing the
Right.
problem. Yeah. So, anything else you want to add?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. All right. So, as a reminder, folks, tomorrow I'll be on the Agile Lunch and Learn talking about my TDD game. And you can go ahead and register. I recommend registering and not waiting to the last minute because I don't know if that would even be possible. It will be recorded. So that'll happen tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. UTC. In terms of next stream, I'll probably also stream after, and it might be pairing. Mike and I'll have to hook up and figure out what our next pairing schedule is. Other than that, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.